TSN came out with their winger tier list rankings of all the NHL teams. So in today's video, we're going to take a look at where TSN and Travis Yost have the New York Rangers kind of ranked. And of course, they did come out with their defenseman and goalie rankings, which we've already taken a look at in a previous video, which I'll have linked at the end of this one. And then in the coming days or weeks, they'll come out with their kind of center rankings, which we'll also, of course, cover in a video as well. But today, we're taking a look at their winger tier list rankings of all the NHL teams. And of course, we're going to focus in on where the Rangers are at. So let's just get right into things here. And we'll start off by taking a look at the actual tier list, which they have in tier 1. The Panthers, Kings, Wild, Lightning, and Golden Knights. Then in tier 2, they have the Bruins, Canes, Stars, Leafs, Mammoth, and Jets. In tier 3, they have the Avalanche, Red Wings, Oilers, Habs, Senators, Devils, Penguins, Blues, Kraken, and Canucks. And then in tier 3, they have the Ducks, Sabres, Blackhawks, Predators, and the New York Rangers, alongside their rivals, of course, in the Islanders, Flyers, and Capitals as well. And then in tier 5, the last tier there, they have the Flames, Blue Jackets, and the Sharks. But more importantly, of course, the New York Rangers are in tier 4. So let's take a look at kind of what Travis Yost, who created this tier list, had to say. In terms of known quantities on Broadway, there's Artemi Panarin and Alexis Lafreniere, and then there's just about everyone else. The Rangers are betting on several promising, albeit inexperienced options, filling out the rest of the top 9 with Will Cooley, Adam Edstrom, Brett Berard, and Gabe Perreault. Even with 2 full seasons under Cooley's belt, this is a group that's going to have some learning moments. The 4 skaters have just a combined 269 games played. Of course, talking about Will Cooley, Edstrom, Berard, and Perreault. And some of what he says is absolutely correct. There are going to be some pretty inexperienced kind of forwards, especially wingers, getting some serious opportunity with this team. Whether that's in the top 6 or bottom 6, we'll have to wait and see. But, there are going to be some young guys here, like Gabe Perreault or, Brett Berard, or an Offman possibly, that, do get an opportunity in that top 9 there to kind of see what they can do there, of course. And, all of them, even a guy like Offman and Berard, who have been playing pro hockey for, a decent bit now, of course, even them don't have a ton of experience at the pro level, let alone the NHL level. So I think no matter what happens, there's going to be lots of kind of inexperienced forwards just at the pro level, on this Rangers team, which can be a good thing, can be a bad thing as well. We'll have to wait and see how it turns out, of course, but there's going to be an interesting kind of combination here of some kind of older, more experienced guys, maybe like a Panarin and, JT Miller and Trocheck and Zibanejad, and that's also another kind of piece of this as well, which I'm not 100% sure he's counting Zibanejad in this kind of wing core here, so that can definitely kind of shift things a bit as well, but I do think, first off, there are going to be, like I said, lots of young guys getting some roles with this team that are going to be key roles as well. Maybe in the top 6, maybe on that third line there, but they're going to have some prominent roles to play, and the Rangers are going to need some of their young guys to step up like a Will Cooley did big time last season there, taking that massive step in his development. And I want to kind of track back to the beginning of what he said in a little paragraph talking about the Rangers, where Travis goes on to say, in terms of known quantities on Broadway, there's Artemi Panarin and Alexis Lafreniere, and then there's just about everyone else. To me, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense there, because a guy like Will Cooley, to me, is a better player right now, straight up, than Alexis Lafreniere. Maybe Lafreniere turns things back on there and he's able to take another step in his game and puts up 70 points next season there and is looking like a phenomenal, fairly physical, somewhat energetic, kind of, decently two-way kind of forward who can put up 70 points. Maybe he does that. Maybe he does. But if he doesn't, to me, there's no way in no world where Will Cooley is not a better player than Lafreniere. Unless Lafreniere takes a massive step up offensively, Will Cooley is just better. Last season there, they both finished with 45 points, and I think most of us Rangers fans know Will Cooley is bringing a whole lot more other than just points to this Rangers team. If you watched last season there, you would see that at moments, a guy like Lafreniere looked kind of disinterested almost, wasn't quite fully engaged in the game there, wasn't bringing a ton of energy, ton of life to this team, wasn't being, super physical out there at moments, wasn't bringing a whole lot, was fairly inconsistent with his play overall. But someone like a Will Cooley, he is the complete opposite of that. He is always turned on 100%. He is full blast all the time when he's out there on the ice. He is a very energetic, physical, tough player. He can produce at a good level offensively, and he did so last season there, putting up 45 points with 20 goals, 25 assists. As someone who does not get a lot of power play time at all, he only had 3 power play points and also had a total of 2 shorthanded goals, which is not bad at all, and also a shorthanded assist. So 3 shorthanded points there, and only 2 power play points with a total of 45 is not bad at all for someone who brings a great two-way game. He can kill penalties and also bring a ton of physicality and energy and toughness to the squad as well. And that whole spiel was not just to kind of hate on Lafreniere. That was more so to kind of prop up a guy like Will Cooley, because I really don't know why he wouldn't be considered in that kind of upper echelon of wingers alongside guys like Panarin and Lafreniere when you're talking about, the Rangers wing core in general. And now let's talk about Mika Zibanejad, because I think this is a pretty interesting player to talk about, as there's still a bit of uncertainty on kind of what position he's actually going to end up playing. And I do think in this kind of tier rankings here in tier list that I don't think Travis Yost actually kind of accounted for Zibanejad being a winger. That's kind of my guess and what I'm assuming there from what I kind of read in the rankings in general. But I do think Zibanejad should and probably will be a winger full-time for the Rangers this season. If you watched him at the beginning of last regular season there compared to when he made that switch to wing, there was a drastic change in performance, not only defensively, but also offensively, of course, as well, because defensively, when he was at center at the beginning of the season there, he was a liability at moments. I'm a big Zibanejad fan, have been for many years now, but I'm not going to lie, he was a liability for this team at moments while being at center this past season, but once he made that switch to wing around the start of February, that's where things really started to turn around for the Rangers. So basically, for the most part there, when he was playing center from the months of October to January, these are his point totals. So this was at center. 9 games played in October, 7 points. November, 14 games played, 10 points. December, 13 games played, 4 points. January, he had 14 games played, 8 points. Then around at the beginning of February, that's when he sort of started to make the switch over to wing. And in February, he has 9 games played, 13 points. He has, in March, 15 games played, 9 points. And to finish things off, in April, 8 games played, 11 points. So if we're considering that he basically played center from October to January and then played wing from February to April, if you break it down, at center this past season, he basically had about 50 games played, 29 points, and a .58 points per game. Then, when he made the switch to wing, he ended up having 32 games played, 33 points with a 1.03 points per game. So maybe off by a game or two here, but this is basically what the numbers were from center to wing. That is a drastic difference offensively, and defensively, we know he was not nearly as much of a liability, of course, when he was at center. So there is a big difference from what we saw from Zibanejad from this past season at center compared to wing. So personally going forward, I would rather see him be a winger where hopefully you can get a kind of above average defensive winger who has some size there, can be a little bit physical at moments, but of course we know Zibanejad is nothing too crazy physically, but he can just be hopefully around a point per game kind of player, putting up 30, 35 goals possibly, and just be a solid kind of all-around player alongside maybe like a JT Miller, Will Cooley combo possibly. Like there are definitely a lot of different options, but point being, Zibanejad on wing can definitely be a still very good player, whereas at center, he might not be nearly as good. And although, the Rangers wing core for this upcoming season may be somewhat inexperienced and quite young, to me, I definitely don't think they should be in tier 4 with teams like the Predators, Islanders, Flyers, Blackhawks. Like, I think that's a little ridiculous there. I would definitely have the Rangers in the tier above there. I don't know why they're this low, but that's just me in the comment section down below. You should definitely let me know your thoughts there on kind of maybe why you think the Rangers are in tier 4 and whether or not you think they should be this far down or a bit higher. Let me know your thoughts on the New York Rangers kind of wing core going into this upcoming season. And also, of course, definitely don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button for daily Rangers content. I'll catch you next one, and let's go Rangers.